Hello and welcome to Wisdom Bites. Hope you're well. Thank you once again for joining us. Very much appreciated. Before I begin, I have a few announcements to make, which is going to change the format of our videos that we have here. Firstly, as you know, that I was expecting a blow-off top at the end of 2021, and I'd been planning for that for the last 4 years. Obviously, it hasn't happened, but as part of my vision and a dream and the goals that I have set for my life for the last 25 years, every year I have my own goals for the following 12 months and 5 years and beyond, etc. So for that reason, I was planning on quite a lot of other things in 2022. And I was hoping that I wouldn't have to do videos on a Sunday. However, as we've got an elongated market, what I will do is to adjust the videos so that instead of doing them on the Sunday, and obviously on the Sundays, I was doing these comprehensive videos, which were about half an hour long, to try and cover as much information in order to add value to my subscribers as much as I could. So with the change in the circumstances, I think it would be better if I did shorter videos, which concentrated mainly on the key levels relevant for the time being with Bitcoin, etc. So what I'm proposing to do is that instead of doing the comprehensive videos on the Sunday, and I may do the odd one on a Sunday anyway, but going forward with more clarity would be that during the week, I'll try and do a 5-10 minute video so that you know what my thoughts are currently. So they're probably going to be more relevant and current for that day. So it could be at any day. I can't really say that it'll be on Monday or a Wednesday or a Friday, etc. It'll be whatever day I can. And sometimes I might do one video, sometimes I might do 2 videos, etc. We'll see how it goes along, but certainly format needs to change. And what it requires really from yourself is to actually make sure that you're subscribed and that you turn on the notifications so that when I do the videos, you get the notification from the YouTube so that you have it at your hand whenever the videos are made. The second thing is, for those of you who've been following me for the last year and a half, you will know that I used to talk about trading and used to give you this figure that 95% of traders will always lose money because that's how the markets are set up. And only 5% of traders will actually make money. And I've always maintained that I don't like to trade. However, for the last 6 months, I decided to actually learn trading from many different professionals. And one of the things I found was that trading is actually unique to your own style, to your own character, to your own personality, and to your own emotional intelligence of how you interpret the charts, etc. What I've really developed over the last 6 months is my own trading style and my own way of interpreting the markets, etc. And while I don't want to be giving financial advice regarding trading because no one has a crystal ball, and I certainly don't, what I will do is to actually express the benefits that I've had over the last 6 months of trading and try and incorporate that into my technical analysis. And as you know, with investments and trading, it's not about guarantees or certainties. It's always about possibilities and probabilities. But certainly I'll be reflecting my videos in the future to incorporate more of the trading stuff rather than just the wider markets and what have you in terms of looking at exit indicators, etc. So certainly, just like my current technical analysis has always been for educational purposes only, it'll remain like that, but certainly just have a little bias towards trading rather than just simply investment and holding. So I'll just be doing the shorter videos whenever I get time. Hopefully it will be at least one video, if not a little bit more than that. We'll just see how it goes. The other announcement is that I've now got myself onto Twitter so that if there is anything and I can't get a video out, I'll certainly put some information in terms of my current thoughts on my Twitter page. And you'll find my Twitter address in the description box below. So with that out of the way, it's Sunday. It may be the last Sunday we do this video. Get yourself a cup of tea, sit yourself down, eyes on the screen, and let's get cracking. But as usual, the disclaimer, please remember, as I mentioned already, everything in my video is for educational purposes only. Nothing should be taken as financial advice as I don't have a crystal ball. Please do your wider research before making any investment decisions. So I want to start off on the weekly chart here. And basically what we've got is a range-bound price action ranging from the 69,000 here all the way down to this 28,000 mark. And this is what's been happening over the last 12 months. So we've been in this range bound. We really don't know where the market seems to be heading. However, when we do the analysis, it will give us a good idea as to the levels that the market can go up to as well as down to. What we do need to do is to at least get to the $69,000 mark here before we can have a run to the blow off top. There will be no blow off top unless we can get the price action at least above the 69, and then at that point I'll start covering the exit indicators again. However, at the same time, we must remain open to retest the bottom of the range at 28,800. At the moment, we're right in the middle of the range here, and the character of the Bitcoin cycles is such that we're basically stuck in really 2-month cycles. So if you look at these, you go up by a couple of months, you go down by a couple of months, you go up by a couple of months, you go down, etc. And this is basically the character of what's happened historically. So if you look at these, they're roughly around about 2 months cycles where you have an upsurge and then a downsurge. And in the last few months, I've been mentioning one particular price level that if we broke that level, then that would be a line in the sand for me. And then at that point, I would have to make a major decision whether to either take some or all of my portfolio from an investment to a cash position. And we came to that level here at exactly 39,600. And that is the level I've been mentioning over the last few months now. So obviously we maintained that position, so we're still good to go towards the upside here. However, the downside is still very much on the table. And what this price has done is to actually create new levels of resistance. And as you know, I've been mentioning quite a few resistance levels and support levels over the last many months. And those are basically, if we zoom in a bit here, the $52,000 mark here, as you can see from the tops of these. If we take that across, so this has been the main level. And before we can go back into this bull market for the surge towards the 69 and beyond, we really need to get above this level here at 52,000. And until we get there, as we can see, the trajectory is to the downside, and we may have a little bit more to go down here, even to these levels down here. But as we've come down below the 52,000, it's really created a few other levels of resistance which we must be aware of. The first level I want to give you today is that as this market was coming down here, it created this very strong support level before we dumped down. So what these wicks have given us is a new level of resistance as we're about to come up to those points. And that level is basically at the bottom of these wicks, and that is at exactly 45,500, possibly even up to the bodies of the candles at 46.5. So between 45 and 46,500, this is the new level of resistance that we need to really get past. And if we drop down to the daily chart, we can see that there is another level that actually is forming, and that is at the tops of these wicks here. And this level here corresponds with these levels here, all along there. So this level is about 48,500. So before we can even test and challenge the $52,000 mark, we really need to make our inroads above this level here. And my understanding is that with a high degree of probability, we're going to get rejected at the $46,000 mark here, before we make another attempt and then go up to the 48,000. And once again, this is a very strong level, as we've seen here already. We found resistance and support at all along this 48,000 mark here. So once again, there is a high degree of probability that we're going to get rejected here, but we probably will find bounce back at these levels. So there will be a throwback from this level to this level more than likely before we even make this challenge here. And that could take several months from now. So we need to be just patient and see how this works its way up towards the 52. But certainly my understanding is that once we break the $52,000 mark, maybe we get rejected here, and then on the third, maybe fourth go, get above the 52. It's at that point that we'll see blue skies ahead to challenge these levels here at 69. So currently what we've got is, in the short term, we've got a very bearish narrative, and this could go much further than this yet, and that's definitely on the table. But what I suspect will happen is that in the next few days, we may come back to re-challenge this 39,600 and maybe do a double bottom. So we may not hit 39.6 again, but maybe 40,000, and make this W pattern before we come and challenge this 45,000 level. Quite interesting actually why this $45,000 mark is a very key level now, because when we look at the Fibonacci retracement from these points here at 48.5, as you can see, the 61.8 golden pocket around here, which Bitcoin has a very high affinity to, comes exactly to these levels at around about the 45.5. So this is why it's very important to know that at these levels, there will be strong resistance. But if there's enough demand, it'll push it through. But if there's not, then we're going to get a rejection here. So please be aware of that, especially if you're trading. So the conflicting narrative, like I've just showed you, that in the short term, it is bearish. However, the long-term perspective, if you look on the weekly chart, is certainly that we've made the higher highs here. And even here, we didn't make a lower low here. So we made the higher highs, and we've now made the lower lows, and we still haven't broken this structure yet. As far as from a technical point of view, from a classical charting point of view, we are in an uptrend on the longer term time frame. So in conclusion, on these levels, the three levels to look out for is, firstly, from where we are now at 43,000, yes, it can go a little bit lower, but on the higher side, the ones to look out for is 45,500, which is where the 61.8 is. And should we get past that, the 48,000, possibly 48,500 is your next target. And basically after that is the $52,000 mark. So we've got those three targets to negotiate before we can get back in the bullish part of the bull market. I mean, currently we are overdue a relief rally from the current levels. If you look at the 21 weekly exponential moving average, which is the yellow line here, so currently we've now lost that weekly exponential moving average. But not only that, we've lost the 50 simple weekly moving average as well. And there seems to be a death cross on its way here, which really doesn't mean much to me because most of the move has already been done. So I'm not expecting much more further movement to the downside. Of course, it can go a little bit lower, but I'm not really expecting it to break the 39,600 level. But we are operating in bearish circumstances, even on the weekly chart, based on the moving averages, broke down here, as we've been mentioning for the many weeks now. And now this is the 6th week that we're below it. At least here, we were still chopping and changing above the 50 weekly simple moving average. But now we've even lost that. And we're now opening and closing below both of them here. But certainly it's something that we need to keep an eye on, because should we be able to manage to get above this level here at 48.5, again, this is providing confluence to the levels I've given you. So 48.5 is where this 50 weekly simple moving average is. And the yellow line here is at the $50,000 mark here. So once we start moving here to the upside, the yellow line will go up, and that'll be around about the 52,000. Again, that provides confluence to the key level at 52,000. So keep an eye on that, but certainly we need to keep a cautionary stance on this until we get up to those key levels. But I am expecting a retest of at least the 40,000 around here. We could retest that 40,000 before we start moving to the upside towards the 45.5. Since March 2020, when we had this COVID situation down here, it's quite interesting that once we got above the 8 exponential moving average, we've been finding some very clean levels of support all along it. Just like when we found in the 2017 bull market with the 21 weekly exponential moving average. This is the 8 exponential moving average on the same time frame on the weekly chart. So every time we moved away from it, we've come back and found support. So if you're looking for dips to come back to, look at this. All the way it comes back, tests the 8, goes back up, tests the 8 again, etc. And then when we did actually break that with a big candle below it, that was our first note of caution that we've now beginning to exhaust this market. There was obviously an attempt, like there normally is, to get back above it again, but certainly it wasn't able to get back above the wick of the top that we had here at 64,000. So what we've done since then is that we've just managed to be below this until the last couple of rallies that we've had, where we broke above it again, and then we found support with a hiccup here and a continuation. Recently, of course, here, we seem to be just below it. So the main thing is that we need to get above this level. Again, this 8 EMA is currently at 48,000. So another confluencing factor at those same levels that I've just given you. So we need to get above that level. So it may well be that we get rejected at the 8 exponential moving average here at 48 when we do eventually come to it, especially at the first attempt. Another thing I wanted to bring to your attention, and why I think that we've bottomed out at the 39,600 level here, is that if you look at this candle here, this is the dragonfly doji here, especially at the bottom of a downtrend, just like we've got here. That is a very, very strong sign that we've bottomed out. It's basically putting in a bottom, because when we got to these levels here, what's happened is that buyers have come in very aggressively and bought up the dip to these levels here, and hence creating this dragonfly doji. And this candle pattern is a sure sign that we may well have bottomed out. And since then, as you can see, we've been in an upward trajectory. It doesn't mean that this can't come down. It may come down to this wick here at around about 41,200, or even to this level here at 40,500. So the possibility is still very much, or probability is quite high, that we come back and retest this, and hence creating a double bottom. But it does look unlikely to me anyway that we're going to break this level around here, having established this. Of course, everything is possible, but the probability seems not to be the case, at least not very high anyway. And finally, on the technical analysis side, I just want to highlight one more key level. I've been giving you this for many, many months, so I don't want you to forget this, is when you do the Fibonacci retracement from the top here at 69,000 to the 39,000 that we've just made here, look at where the 61.8 is. It's right on the other level I've been giving you for many months, and that is the $57,000, $58,000 mark. If the price does come back up higher than that, then it'll be to the top of these wicks here, which is going to be around about 59. You know with a very high degree of probability that we're going to get rejected, and there will be some resistance at these points here. So that's a lot to take in one day. So please remember those levels. To the downside, we've got this flash crash low here of 42,300, and I mentioned that in the last video that we need to keep above it, but once we broke below that, we did go down to the 39.6, which was my line in the sand. So we've still got some way to go to this level yet. So 42,300 is very, very important. But should we break that, then we're going to come back down to the bottoms of these wicks here, around these levels. And that's going to be around the 40,500 mark. So these are the levels I want you to keep your eye on, 42,300 and 40,500. Okay, so I'm going to leave the technical analysis aside now, and I'm going to give you something that I've been promising for the last few weeks, and that's on the Wisdom Bite section, especially for those people who have a dream and a vision, but don't know how to get there because they don't have a template. So today I'm going to give you a template of how to set goals and how to achieve those targets, and what you need to do to be able to move forward and make progress towards achieving those dreams that you have. Okay, so today's Wisdom Bite is setting goals. Now, this is an absolutely vast subject, and I can only give you really a skeleton outline of the types of things that I do and how I set up in terms of trying to set goals and to try and achieve my goals. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you just a template, the outline of this. And what you have to do is, for those of you who are really interested and really want to achieve your dreams and your visions in your life, then you have to really make the effort and take the time, effort, and energy to actually go and research this on a wider scale, because there's a lot of information on setting goals and having a proper template. So you have to put the meat on the bone, as it were. So setting goals is really a 3-part process. And it won't work unless you put all those 3 in place. So the first one is really creating the template, i.e. the areas on which you're going to set goals. One of the first things I notice that people have is they don't actually know which areas of their life they need to set goals. So those areas I'm going to give you today. So that's the first part, identifying the areas of life to set goals. The second one is actually applying what we call the 4Ds rule. And I'm going to cover that in my next video. So the 4Ds are, and I'll give you a little hint on it, is desire, decision-making, determination, and discipline. And I'm going to give you a lot of the meat on that in one of the next few videos. And you'll realize that it goes hand in hand with actually the areas of life that you're going to be setting the goals on. And finally, the thing that everybody seems to fall down on, and the most important aspect of it, because it's where you take all the information and you actually bring it into action by scheduling it into your life, into your daily routine. If you don't do this, you've got absolutely no chance of doing this. This is really the reason why 95% of people don't have goals. And that's why 95% of people don't succeed in achieving the life goals and the dreams that they have. So this is absolutely critical to it. So today I'm just going to cover the areas of life to set goals on. So basically I've divided life into these 9 major conglomerate areas here. And these are the areas that I work on a daily and weekly and monthly basis. So my idea is always to look at these 9 areas and say, today, tomorrow, next week, next month, where do I want to be in terms of my journey towards achieving my vision of goal for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. So basically I've divided into career, which is all about your work life, or if you've got a business, your business life, and what you can do to improve that from where you are to where you want to be. Same with the attitude. I did a full video of around about 10-15 minutes just covering that on the video that I did with the Lord of the Rings analogy. The third area is social environment. This is extremely critical, like all of them are. This is really the people that you surround yourself with, and always remember that you are the average of the 5 or 6 people that you spend the most time with. And obviously health and fitness is self-explanatory. So you need to work on that. Personal development is acquiring new skills, new knowledge, new experiences, developing your character, developing your personality. That's what all this is about. Relationships is improving your current relationship with your wife, girlfriend, etc., etc. This is your intimate relationship and why you should work on it if you want to make it work. Financial wealth is obviously looking always for opportunities so that you don't actually close any doors which could be financially beneficial to you. Family, of course, making sure you deal with your parents, your brothers, your sisters, uncles, aunties, all those kinds of things. Very important to have an overall view of how you're going to deal with your family, because you do have to navigate yourself in a very sensitive environment. And obviously spirituality is all about meditation, religion, making sure that you're internally, that your spirit is always fulfilled and contented. So these are the 9 areas that I work on a daily basis. And basically what you have to do for each of these areas here is decide exactly what you want in your career. What do you want exactly in your attitude? What do you want in terms of the types of people that you are surrounding yourself with? What kind of health and fitness do you want? What is your ideal weight? What kind of foods that you want to eat, etc., etc. And this will just set you apart from about 95% of the population for each of these areas. So what you've got to do is imagine what each of these areas would look like in an ideal world. And this is what we call idealization, where there are no limitations on what you can be, what you can have, or what you can do if your life was absolutely perfect. So taking the example of the career, so project forward 5 years, if your career was perfect, what would it look like? How would it be different from today? How much would you be earning? What kind of work would you be doing? Who would you be working with? What position would you have? Basically fantasize. Let your inner child go to town. Just basically fantasize like a child of how your career would look like in 5 years in an absolutely perfect world for you. And here is the key that follows it. And that is that you have to ask yourself, firstly, what would you have to do? And what would you have to happen? And what would be the first step you would have to take today to begin creating your perfect career future? Please remember, Confucius said a journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step in the direction you want to go. Once you've done the above, then it will become absolutely obvious to you what that first step will be. So basically, you need to do the above for each of these 9 areas here. So let me say that again. Project forward 5 years by idealizing what they would look like in 5 years' time if your life was perfect. So for some of these areas, you may be like, what kind of a relationship would you like to have? What kind of a lifestyle would you want to have? Where would you live? Where would you want to go on vacations? What kind of a life do you want to create for yourself and your family? What kind of people do you want to associate yourself with? So once you have done that for all of the areas, then ask yourself, what would I need to do to create this perfect future, and what would be the first step? And that's basically it on this side of the setting goals. In the next video, like I said, I'll give you the 4 Ds, which will basically cover why, when you've done this here, some of the things that you've decided, the 4 Ds will be basically like a filter. Whether you really want to do those things, the 4 Ds concept will actually filter out the ones that you really, really want to do, and the ones that you really thought you wanted to do, but realized actually it's not something that I wanted to do. So that's what I'll cover very shortly in one of the next videos. Okay, so we'll leave it there for now. I hope you've gained some value from the technical analysis, although it's a little bit different from the norm, and also from the wisdom bite that I've given you today. And if you did find some value, then please do remember to like and subscribe and to turn on the notification bell. And it's very important that you actually turn on the notification bell, because I really don't know when I'll be doing the next video. It could be in a couple of days' time, could be in 3 days' time. And by turning on the notification bell, what you'll be doing is telling the YouTube to notify you each time I've made a video. So that way you'll always have the latest videos. Also, please go to my Twitter page and follow Wisdom Bites there. So if you have found value in this, then please do remember to like and subscribe, and obviously to turn on the notification bell. And if you want to leave any comments, questions or suggestions, then please leave them in the comments below. Until the next time, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.